What's good, good people? This is your girl, Anna Deshawn, right here on E3 Radio, Stopping the Music, your number one stop for queer radio done right. And tonight, I'm excited. This is 2 days in a row, good people, of like some really dope guests. We got Otis Richardson in the building. What's going on, Otis?
Hey, Anna, how you doing?
I am good. I am so excited to have you on. First off, I've known you for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really dope because we're going to talk tonight about your greeting card business.
Okay.
And I think it's fantastic. So after this break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk to Otis because y'all going to really like what he got going on.
All right, cool.
All right, this part. What up, family? Yeah, right.
Hey.
It gets me pumped up every single time. Family, welcome, Otis. Let me put up my little piece here because we're talking Lavenderpop greeting cards. And I've always loved your brand because it's about us. There's brown people on greeting cards and there's queer people being recognized on greeting cards. And I remember, gosh, I don't know. Otis, how long have you had Lavenderpop? I feel like it's been a very long time.
It's been a really long time. I mean, I started in 2004. That's when I launched it. But I mean, I was doing greeting cards even before that. Me and my former business partner and my good friend, Hannah Anderson, we did cards back in like 99, 2000.
Yeah.
So we did that for a while, like success out the gate, but it was very time consuming. And so we did that for, about a year or so, decided to end the business, but I was still in love with the process of creating cards. So then I decided to launch my own line, and that's how Lavenderpop started.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. So you've been at this for a minute, and I feel like I found you at a time when I was looking for a card for some queer folks, and I feel like they were having a baby or something, and I made a post like, where can I find some queer cards? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everything in the card section is very binary. It's also, if you ain't in a Black neighborhood, the cards can be very white.
Oh, exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the Black ones that you do find, mahogany or whatever, they are very gendered and they're expensive.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably one of the first times I found you. So what I know what inspired me to find you, but what inspired you to want to start a greeting card company?
I really didn't know anything about the greeting card industry. Really, when I started, I mean, I've been drawing and painting ever since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And so, art was just something I did naturally. Started making like handmade cards for like family and friends and things like that. But it wasn't until like me and Hannah got together that we decided to do it like professionally, and then I was kind of looking at the industry, and like you said, mahogany has been around for like years and years, and we just felt like there needs to be something new. And early 2000s, there was maybe 3 people that I could find online that was doing LGBTQ cards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of them are around anymore. But I just felt like no one is really going after this market. So, why don't I do cards that are inclusive, of LGBTQ people? And that was kind of my motivation, just to do something that I hadn't seen, and we deserve to be, everywhere. We deserve to be affirmed and to be visible. So that's kind of how I got started. And then as the years went on, I decided to broaden the line. So it's Black cards. It's really for everyone. It's, gay, straight, it's male, female, kids, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so good. And I got some examples because I think your work really speaks for itself. So I'm excited to show some examples of your work. So you tell me, like, so you have always been someone who draws. So do you make all the illustrations on your cards?
I do all the illustrations.
Wow.
Yes.
By hand.
By hand. You know, I start with a pencil sketch. I ink it, I scan it, and then I add the color in Photoshop. And you know, it's just kind of a technique I discovered, you know, because I'm more of a, you know, fine artist, you know, painting and drawing. And so I haven't always used, you know, Photoshop and, you know, computer graphics and things like that. But it's something I just kind of discovered. And so I started doing it, you know, that way. And I'm sure it's a better way, it's a faster way to do it, but you know, it works for me. You know,
Right.
I use Photoshop to add all the color, and it's like an airbrushing tool. So like all of the skin tones and things like that is done on the computer.
I love it. Let's take a look. I think good people should see what you be up to. So this is
Let's show them.
one of your beautiful cards.
That's one of my latest ones that I did. I was talking to a buyer who ended up not buying my cards for their store, but they gave me really good advice. And they said, you should have more blank cards in your collection. And at the time, I didn't have a lot of blank cards. You know, all of my cards, you know, basically has words in it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, let me do a series. So this is part of a series of blank cards. And I wanted to do a series where each person has a fade haircut. So she was the first one I did. So she has a fade, she has dreadlocks. And the background is actually a picture I took downtown on Wabash, you know, because I don't drive, you know, so I'm on the train or the bus all the time. So I have a great affinity for TA. So, you know, I wanted to incorporate that. And also to let people know, you know, this is a Chicago, you know, card. You know, I wanted to have that Chicago, you know, flavor to it. So yeah, that's the first in a series called Fade.
And I'm assuming this is another one in the
This
series.
is the second in the series. Yes, yes. You know, had to have a brother in there, and you know, I did that. You know, maybe a couple years ago, and I was noticing a lot of the younger guys. You know, they had a fade and just like really wild hair on top. You know, and so I wanted to incorporate that. And that building is next to where I used to live in Hyde Park. So
Huh.
that's a shot in Hyde Park.
I mean, everything looks Chicago. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Hmm.
All right. Now let's see this one.
Oh, that's a card I did, you know, years ago. You know, I wanted to do like a HIV awareness, you know, prevention card. And so I came up with that. And, you know, it's a card that, you know, I didn't really think it would sell a lot because it's not like a happy birthday card or get well or whatever. Um, But I think when you have a small line like mine, you can kind of do things that are very unique, you know. And for me, it was more the message of it, you know, just having something that reminded people of you know, prevention and HIV awareness.
Which is so important still today.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and then I really love this one because these people,
Oh,
this card don't get enough love ever, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah. This was one of my first cards. You know, I did this, and it's interesting because Tracy Vane did a post on Facebook, like I think yesterday, and she was talking about Black Lines, and Black Lines was
Yeah.
like the Black LGBTQ, you know, monthly publication, and I think it was Black History Month, and I did this illustration for the cover on the
Hmm.
cover of Black Lines. And then I decided, you know, launching a Black LGBTQ, you know, greeting card line, I wanted to incorporate, you know, some of our pioneers, you know, and so yeah, that was a pioneer card, and it's been interesting because you know other people have purchased that card, and they've given it to their friends and their employees, and people they admire. So people have used it, for other reasons. But yeah, that's a really special card because that was one of the first ones I ever printed.
Love it.
Yeah.
Special in and of itself, just because of who's on it too.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And now I thought this one was funny because I know you practice Buddhism, and I was like, not a slave. Yes.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I kind of wanted to incorporate, like, my Buddhist practice, and even before I started practicing Buddhism, I did yoga and things like that, concentrating on my breathing, and taking yoga classes and doing stuff like that. So I was always kind of like interested in that world. And then I met someone who was actually a Buddhist, and
Mm-hmm.
went to a Buddhist meeting, and never really thought about Buddhism as a practice because like a lot of people, I grew up Christian. But I went to a Buddhist meeting and really liked the vibe of the people there. And it really made sense to me. So it's been 11 years. And so that's what I've been doing. And I think I've had a lot of breakthroughs, just through my Buddhism. But with that card, I just wanted to do something because most of my customers are Black women. So I wanted to do a card to reflect that. And just like the style and the vibe of Black women, and she has the hoop earrings, and she has the big natural hair, and the funky psychedelic background, and that's also a blank card. And so that's also like one of the best-selling cards in my collection. I never really realized that people are into like blank cards, but sometimes people want a card where they can just write their own a message. So that worked out.
Yeah, 100%. I love blank cards, so I can speak for
Mhm.
myself. I do love blank cards because I like making my own jokes
Yeah.
and writing my own message, even if it's not long.
Yeah.
I do like blank greeting cards. So big ups to whoever dropped the tip on you, and I think that's freaking great.
Hmm.
So as an entrepreneur, you're always growing. I saw
Hmm.
a post maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe. Social media land time is always weird and warped, but
Hmm.
you are now in Jewel.
Yes.
That is freaking awesome.
It
That is
is.
pretty dope. As an
Hmm.
independent entrepreneur out here doing your own thing, owning your own work, to be in Jewel now in Chicago is a really big deal. I know I think you were in Mariano's. And,
I tried to get in Mariano's. We can
oh,
talk
okay.
about that later.
Okay.
But I'm in Whole Foods.
Whole
I'm in
Foods
Whole Foods in Inglewood.
in Inglewood.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but Jules, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal, and it's like it's never really happened before because Jewel has only dealt with Hallmark and American Greetings, like throughout their whole history. And so when I approached them and I was looking through my emails, like, how long was this journey? And it's been about 3 years, like from the first email that I sent someone at Jewel to see if I could get in.
Hmm.
And so the thing about getting into Jewel, they had to figure out if I could even be in the store because of their relationship with American Greeting. Because a lot of times these companies have what's called exclusivity clause.
Mm-hmm.
So like me and my former business partner Hannah, we were in Walgreens like years ago. I approached Walgreens, maybe a couple years ago, and they're like, no, we can't sell any other cards but Hallmark cards.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the same thing was happening with Jewel. They had to figure out, can we allow you to sell your cards because we have this contract with American Greetings?
Mm.
So they figured out, after a while that I could, get my foot in the door. And so once they said yes, that kind of started the process. And as an entrepreneur, I did a lot of pop-up shops and, vendor fairs and stuff like that. I really didn't have to have, business insurance. UPC codes, on the back of the cards. I didn't really need to mess with that because I was just selling, at my table or whatever.
Right.
Once you get into the retail stores, it's all of these other things you need to have. And so I had to have business insurance, and it has to cover a certain amount. I had to have UPC codes to scan, of course, on the back of your product. And the UPC codes that I had for Whole Foods, which I bought off the internet, and that was cool for Whole Foods, but Jewel is like, oh no, that's not gonna work for us.
They said, yeah,
no, that's not gonna, no.
Not for Jewel Osco.
No. So you need to have a whole set of other UPC codes, and you have to, join this particular company and be registered with them.
Wow.
And so, it's like all of these different steps that I had to go through. But, luckily they were really cool. They kind of walked me through, each step and, how to upload each design and, how to get a code that, was specific for each, card, because each card has to have a different number, And so, once I, did all of that, then I had to print, all of these cards, because in the past I would print, a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, because I was just in, Whole Foods in Inglewood.
Right.
But now I'm in like maybe a dozen, jewel stores. So it's like I needed thousands of cards.
Overflow.
So here's the thing, Anna. This is what happened because, as an entrepreneur, there's like ups and downs. You're going to have obstacles and things are not going to work right.
Yeah.
So I was working with a printer that I've been with for years. And so I said, well, I have a really big order, like the biggest order that I've ever had. Can I get a better rate? Because they were charging me a certain amount. So I was like, well, I have a huge order. And it's like the more that you order, the cheaper it is typically.
Yeah.
So basically they said, no, the price that we gave you was the best price and that's the way it is. So I'm like, that's some bull. So I, went online and got some more quotes and ended up with a printer, even though they were out of state, even with the shipping, it was cheaper than, what I was paying.
Wow.
So I went with them, sent them all the files and everything. They printed it, shipped them to me. I got all the boxes. I'm opening the boxes. I'm so excited. And I realized that it's like a border around the edge. Like you showed the woman with the fade, they have like a white border. And I'm like, well, no, the card goes to the edge. It shouldn't have a border around it. And then I realized they had forgotten to trim the card.
Oh, no.
So they were all the wrong size.
Oh, no.
And then the paper was kind of jacked up too. It wasn't like real thick paper. I don't know what they did. So, they realized the mistake, they printed the order again, but it kind of delayed me delivering to the stores. And of course, this is when COVID hit. So I'm like, okay, now I'm delayed in delivering the cards.
Yeah.
Plus it's like, wow, am I going to risk my health going to all these stores and, during the pandemic and, you're only supposed to go in, get your essentials and get out,
Right.
But I figured, I've worked so hard to get into Jewel, I can't wait for the perfect time, to do it. I just need to put on my mask, do my social distancing, be careful, deliver the cards, hand them the invoice and, handle my business.
Yeah.
That's basically what I did.
Wow. And I was going to ask you about the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, especially during COVID. And what that's meant for you, your creativity. I mean, you're making these. And so I've talked with artists about how has it been being in the house? And I did an interview with Sam Kirk.
Okay.
And she was saying, honestly, I am more inspired. I have so much art in my head that I can't get out. So have you felt the same way? How has COVID impacted your own creativity?
Um, you know, I also have a lot of designs in my head, and I think what I'm doing now, like the last couple of days, is interesting that you asked that because I'm designing some more cards. It's like I see like the cards that are selling the best in Jewel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically a birthday card for a woman, that's the bestseller, and then some of the blank cards.
Okay.
And then there's like a male birthday card, and there's one that says for someone special, which also has a black woman's face on it. So people really respond to faces, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so now I'm designing some more birthday cards, you know, with faces on them, and not just words or whatever. So that's kind of what I'm doing. It's like I'm using this time that I'm inside to just kind of strengthen the line, develop new cards. And also, I've gotten a lot of good advice just from people who actually work in Jewel.
Really?
I have signage, on the top of my spinner rack that basically says, Lavender Pop greeting cards, stay connected with Lavender Pop, and it has the price on it and everything. And I'm competing, like I said, with American Greetings, who has hundreds of cards in a big aisle, and I'm in my little spinner rack, trying to stand out. And so I'm either in the floral section of Jewel or in the greeting card section. And
Hmm.
so in some jewels, the floral section and the greeting card section is all together, which is fine. And sometimes I'm mostly in like really good spots. But I went to one store on the south side, and I noticed that the cards weren't really moving that much.
Hmm.
And I was talking to one of the workers, a couple of the workers, and they were saying, "Oh well, your cards are really nice. They're beautiful. I love how you have a plastic sleeve that protects them. It has the envelope. Your cards are wonderful, but your sign doesn't really pop." Because I was telling them like the cards that sell the best. I'm like, this is the best selling card and that one. So she's like, well, that face needs to be on your sign.
Ah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that. And then she also said, huh?
Auntie at the Jules is giving you all.
Exactly. Auntie was schooling me. And she's like, you need to have that face on your sign, and you need to have black owned business. You need to put that on there so people know this is a black owned business. And I'm like, I had never thought of that.
Yeah.
And so I took her suggestions and I, created some new signage. So the next time I go to that store, it's going to be new signage on top. But I think that's another thing about entrepreneurs. Like, we get a lot of good advice from buyers, from customers, from people who are in the store who know.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated that.
Yeah. And you just never know where it's gonna come from.
Exactly.
And it's gonna give you the advice you need, or even inspire you to create a new card. So I think
Hmm.
that's really dope. I hope everybody that's tuning in, what's going on? I appreciate everybody tuning in to the show. Please go follow Lavender Pop on IG. Please
Yes.
go and go buy you a greeting card. Now, Otis, is it on the website where people can see all the jewel? Where you're
Yeah. If you go to lavenderpop.com, you'll see the list of all 11 stores.
great. So you can go to those 11, you can go to Whole Foods, you can just buy online. You know what I'm saying? Just
Buy
go
online.
buy a dozen, 2 dozen, whatever you think you're gonna need. Uh,
Right. Stock up.
stock up for all occasions. Okay. I think it's great. I also think it's really dope that businesses like yours can grow and flourish even during a time like COVID. Like,
Hmm.
need some good news, right? And some positive stories. And so I think it's fantastic that you have that you've grown even during this particular time.
Yeah, I mean, it was really shaky. Like I said, when COVID hit, it's kind of like, what am I gonna do? but like I said, I couldn't wait around, and it's like, okay, am I going to wait till there's a shot, you know, whatever to, take care of COVID, a vaccine. I can't wait around. I just have to do it, and hope and pray and chant for the best. But yeah, it's really challenging, but I think it's really fortunate that I'm in a grocery store. I mean, that's a real benefit, because when I first started, I was in a lot of like independent bookstores, and like gift shops,
Mm,
especially on the north side. And so, we're thinking 2004, 2005, things were okay. And then, Amazon was getting bigger,
mm,
and Amazon just basically squashed a lot of the independent, bookstores. It's like you can really barely find a bookstore anymore unless it's like Barnes and Noble or something.
that's right.
And even a lot of them have closed.
With
So,
me, go support women and children's first. I'm just
yes. Yeah. And in fact, when I first started, they were one of the first shops to carry my cards, women and children. Yeah, big
yeah,
up to them.
yes.
But yeah, support, independent bookstores and gift shops, because that's where I started. And it's kind of like I had to do the transition, but that's where I started. But once they started to close, I really had to pivot. Like, where else can I go now that my base is kind of closing? And
Mm,
so that's when I had the idea of approaching grocery stores, because it's like, okay, I go to grocery store, I see greeting cards, so why not?
yeah, no, it's a wonderful idea. I think it's beautiful. I know I appreciate it. We got Penny Penn tuning in. What's going on? Saying I'm definitely planning on sending out some Kwanzaa cards this year, so I'll look for Lavender Pop. Um,
Thank you.
yes, please do that. Otis got you covered. No worries.
Yes,
Otis,
we have Kwanzaa cards. I actually have a Kwanzaa poster that I don't have on my website, but thank you. What that penny pin?
yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna put that poster on my webpage, because I designed some like mini posters. I was talking about doing like pop-up shops. I did Vend and Vibes a few years ago,
yeah.
right here in Washington Park, and I decided to make some little mini posters. So I made one out of a Kwanzaa card that I did. So thanks for reminding me. I'm gonna put that on my website.
There you go. Look for it, Penny Penn. Otis, take it.
We
Yeah, only on
got you.
we got you. Otis, it's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much, Anna, for having me.
100%. Family, y'all already know the deal. Y'all just need to go buy cards from Otis. Here. All right, so go to lavenderpop.com, follow Lavender Pop, just Google Lavender Pop, and all his greeting cards are going to come up. We got to support our own, right? We all talk about buying black. We can talk about buying gay and queer. We can talk about, buying Chicago and supporting Chicago. Otis got it all. It's covering all your bases. Okay? So just go ahead and support. And tomorrow we got the Q crew coming back, 5 o'clock, stopping the music. We're going to talk about intersectionality and how it's showing and appearing its ugly head sometimes in regards to women, violence, Meg the Stallion, continuing that conversation we had from last week. So tomorrow's going to be a really good show. So tune in for that. And thanks again, Otis. It's been great.
Anna, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for having me.
100%. Till next time, everybody. Peace.